Hey guys, what is up? It is SSD Middleman here with Guides for Us All, and today I'm going to be doing a complete overview of all of the whips in Dark Souls 2. So if there's a specific one that you want to check out, click on any of the names on screen right now and it'll take you right there. So, let's get started. Starting off with the standard whip, you can get this from Laddersmith Gilligan for only 1600 souls. If you're looking to power stance, that'll only cost you 3600 souls. Very, very cheap for getting into a whip dexterity build, especially since these things at upgrade 10 will have an A scaling rank in dexterity. Very nice if you were using a pure dexterity build. Now, the requirements to wield this thing are 6 strength and 17 dexterity, something that is very easy to acquire early on in the game. So these will probably be one of the first whips that you're going to be using throughout the game. Now, the damage isn't fantastic. At max rank it does 210 damage, and like I said, an A scaling and dexterity, so you will get a bonus from that. But there are other whips that are better than this. Like I said though, this is a great starting point if you're going to be using whips in your build. Now moving on to the Notched Whip. To get this item, you're going to have to go to the Huntsman's Copse at the second bonfire called the Bridge Approach, and follow the path that I go down. Basically, you go across the bridge, then straight to the right across another bridge, where up on a ledge you will see the Notched Whip. Now, this is another whip, which is fantastic for power stancing. In fact, most of the whips are great for power stancing, as this one has a bleed effect on it. Now, if you use both of them, along with the item Crest of Blood and Shadow Gauntlet, it'll almost always result in instant bleed if you're power stancing these things, which is just fantastic, as bleed is pretty nice in PvP. Now, in normal gameplay, it's not as effective against PvE enemies, but in PvP, bleed can be devastating. So, the requirements to use these weapons are 12 strength and 20 dexterity. Not too high, again, something you can get pretty fast off the bat when starting your game. And these items are very easy to get. You could probably get them within 15 minutes of starting your game if you're really trying. And they're really fantastic. I truly enjoy using them. At upgrade 10 of a regular upgrade path, they will be doing 205 damage, which, yes, is 5 less than the regular whips, but it does also have an A scaling and dexterity and has the bleed effect applied to it. So if you're using those normal whips, you should definitely upgrade to the Notched Whip, as it is just better in pretty much every way possible. And now moving on to the Bloodied Whip. The only way to get this thing is by killing the Executioner Torturers before the bridge to the Undead Purgatory in the Huntsman's Copse. This is very close to where you get the Notched Whip from, however it is not as easy to get, as this drop is insanely rare. At least in my case it was. I did use a Covetous Gold Serpent Ring +1 for a 50% chance increase in rare drops, and I had to kill these guys over 15 times, including the use of a bonfire ascetic to make them respawn, before I even got one Bloodied Whip drop. That just took forever to do, probably an hour and a half or 2 hours, which is longer than you'll spend farming for most weapons. And when I finally got it, I was joyed. I can't explain the look on my face. It was fantastic. Now, the thing that makes this whip special is that it has slightly longer range than the other whips. So if you're playing in PvP, this could be a very effective strategy where enemies would think they're out of range of your whip, but, however, they are not, since you have the increased range on this. It also has a slightly greater effect on poise than the other whips, but it's only 5 points. It's not really going to make that much of a difference. Now, do I think this whip is really worth getting through all the hassle? No, not really. I do think that it's great to have something like this in your back pocket when you're playing PvP, to trick the enemies and to get a few hits in like that, but I don't know. It takes a lot of time to get, and it really is a pain in the butt. If you want it in your build, then go for it. It only requires 10 strength and 15 dexterity to wield. However, its dexterity scaling is not that great. It has a D scaling in strength and a C scaling in dexterity, even at the max rank, which will put you at 250 damage, which is not bad, but then again, with the low scaling, it will end up doing not as much damage as some of the other whips. Now, contrary to the name, it does not have a bleeding effect on it, even though it is called the Bloodied Whip. The only effect that it has that's different than the other whips is the slightly longer range. Now onto the Spotted Whip, which is definitely one of my favorite whips in the entire game. To get this thing, you're just going to have to kill the Demon of Song and trade his soul to Straight of Olaphis, and you will get the Spotted Whip. This thing is awesome. It deals poison damage, and when it's fully upgraded to +5, it will deal 287 base poison damage, making it one of the strongest poison-dealing weapons in the game. You can poison people so fast in PvP. As you can see in this video, I was only using one, and when I get a successful parry and I hit him on the ground, it instantly poisons him with that parry riposte. It is awesome. And when you're dual wielding these things that are both upgraded to +5, it is almost a guaranteed chance to poison them in one hit if both your whip attacks connect. Also, if you use the Sanctum Soldier Gauntlets and the Crest of the Rat Ring, which will increase your poison chance, it will inflict poison almost instantly on just one hit. This weapon is freaking phenomenal for PvP. If you manage to land a hit on your enemy, they're going to be poisoned and losing health, and forced to either use a poison moss or attempt to heal, which will give you even more time to go in and get some more hits. Now the requirements to wield this are 9 strength and 25 dexterity. Dexterity rank is a little higher than most of the other whips, but at +5 you will have B scaling and 195 physical damage with these things, making it a very, very effective whip. I would definitely recommend using a Bonfire Ascetic in the Shrine of Amanya and fighting the Demon of Song twice so you can get 2 of these whips, because they are just phenomenal and almost borderline overpowered in PvP, I would say. And now on to the last, but definitely not least of the whips, the Old Whip. Now to get this thing, you're going to have to train with Dinah and Tillo, the crows, back in Things Betwixt. And to get these items to trade with them, you can get them from all over the world. They are petrified something, smooth and silky stones, or small smooth and silky stones. You probably picked up a few of them just playing through the game normally. Now you're going to have to go and trade with them, and the Old Whip is one of the rarest drops you can get from them. The highest chance of getting it will be trading petrified somethings, the lowest chance was small smooth and silky stones. It did take me quite a few petrified somethings to get this, about 12 I would say, before I finally got the Old Whip, but this thing is pretty nice. It has a blessing on it which will make it do more damage against hollow enemies, which is kind of odd. It's somewhat useful in PvE, but that effect doesn't really help you much in PvP. Now, it is upgraded with Twinkling Titanite, which is a little bit harder to get than most of the other materials, but at a rank +5, it will have a B scaling in Dexterity, E scaling in Strength, and 350 base damage, the highest damage out of any whips in the base damage category. Now, the one problem with this is, you might think, well, what's the downside? This thing does a crap load of damage, it's even better against hollows. What's the downside? Well, this whip only has 40 durability, meaning that it is going to break fast. You will see me break it a couple times in this video, especially since there's a glitch with the weapon, where when you kill an enemy with the whip, the killing blow will count as 2 hits, as it will hit the corpse of the enemy you killed and the initial kill. So you're going to need to carry some repair powder around with this thing, or use a bracing knuckle ring to counter the durability on this weapon. It is really nice, it does high damage, but I feel like the durability makes it just too much of a pain to use, in my opinion. But the high damage and just the low durability, they're kind of contradictory to each other. You know, it's a trade-off, high damage, low durability, but if you can find a way to work around it, then this whip can be great. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like rating down below and subscribe to see some more videos in the future.